is Alex Mercer. I'm the reason for all of this. They call me a killer, a monster, a terrorist. I'm all of these things.
Prototype, stylized as Prototype, is an open-world action-adventure video game developed by Radical Entertainment and published by Activision. The game was released in North America on June 9, 2009, PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, in southwestern parts of North America, Microsoft Windows, as well as Oceania on June 10, and in Europe on June 12. Versions for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One were released on July 14, 2015 alongside the sequel as Prototype Biohazard Bundle. Separate versions of the games became available in August 2015. Set in Manhattan, the game follows a powerful amnesiac shapeshifter named Alex Mercer who must stop an outbreak of blacklight, a plague that mutates individuals into hideous violent monsters. During his quest, Alex tries to uncover his past while also coming into conflict with both the US military and a black operations force called Blackwatch. Parallel to the game's storyline is the ability to play the game as a sandbox-style video game, giving the player freedom to roam Manhattan. Spoiler alert: as the players make their way throughout the game, they discover the fact that, in truth, Alex Mercer died at Penn Station and it was the blacklight virus itself snatching his body. Thus the plot of the Amnesia. Or at least until Prototype 2 came and said, "Fuck it. Let's just make Zeus the bad guy and a super mutant instead." Zeus' primary superpower is its ability to shapeshift, changing its body into anyone. Going hand in hand with this power is its ability to consume others, absorbing them entirely. This process allows Zeus to quickly regain health by absorbing the biomass of its enemies. This also allows the sentient virus to take on the forms of the human enemies it absorbs, thereby allowing the player to move about the enemy as one of them. The disguise will only last as long as Zeus remains inconspicuous. Zeus has incredible physical strength, and will kill most humans in a single punch. It can perform various melee attacks without shapeshifting, as well as more gymnastic moves such as air combos, sliding along the ground using any humanoid enemy's body, and a high-speed rolling cannonball attack. Zeus can also transform parts of its body into a selection of martial implements acquired over the course of the game, either as purchased upgrades or being given them. Offensive powers include the large and powerful blade arm, fast razor-sharp claws, which can also erupt large spikes from the ground, the telescoping whiffist, muscle mass that augments its strength, and the slow but powerful hammer fists. Defensive options consist of a large shield on Alex's left arm for blocking ballistic attacks that needs to regenerate after excessive damage, and full body armor that exchanges agility and speed for toughness in hand-to-hand combat. Both will allow Alex to plow through most obstacles when active. Vision modes include thermal vision, which allows Zeus to see enemies through smoke and other obstacles at the expense of a decreased vision range, and infected vision, which highlights those infected with the blacklight virus as well as military units. Both vision modes muffle all of Zeus' other senses, such as hearing, in order to concentrate on its sight. One defensive and offensive power may be active at a time, and using either will negate Zeus' current disguise. In addition to its own abilities, Zeus can take the weapons from defeated or absorbed enemies. These include automatic rifles, machine guns, grenade launchers, and missile launchers. It can also seize control of military vehicles, such as tanks and helicopters. Zeus' most powerful attacks are the Devastators, which require Zeus to be in critical mass, either a state of near death or the exact opposite, having excess stored biomass and increased health. These include the Tendril Barrage, which fires impaling tendrils from its body in all directions, the Ground Spike Graveyard, which erupts massive spikes from the ground all around Zeus, and the Critical Pain, which fires a single beam of hardened biomass from its hands to severely damage a single target. Enemies in the game are the infected. Those infected with a variation of the natural blacklight virus called redlight, and the military. The infected consist of ordinary civilians infected with the virus that are generally not a threat to Zeus. However, the Hunters, huge creatures created from infected water towers, are one of the main enemies in the game. Evolved Hunters, referred to as leaders, are one of the most powerful creatures in the game and are incredibly hard for Zeus to kill. The military consist of ordinary soldiers which are usually not a threat to Zeus, although they are capable of operating weaponry that is extremely dangerous to Zeus, such as tanks and heavily armed helicopters. The military also consists of Blackwatch, an agency dedicated to combating biological and nuclear warfare. Blackwatch is one of the intricate parts of the game's story and creates some of the most deadly biological weaponry to combat Zeus, including viral detectors capable of detecting Zeus even in his disguise, and, introduced later in the game, the deadly poison Bloodtox, capable of slowly killing Zeus and the infected. Introduced later in the game are heavily armored and durable soldiers referred to as super soldiers, capable of fighting against Zeus and some of the strongest infected. In order to gain more advanced upgrades, Zeus is capable of sneaking into military bases using a disguise and stealthily consume various officials within the base. It can also set off an alert within the base, in which the only way to escape is to slaughter whoever is in the base. Zeus can also gain upgrades from the infected by collecting genetic data. Infected hives, like military bases, are located all over the city, and produce genetic data constantly. Zeus can destroy the infected hives or simply absorb the data on the outside as it is being produced. At the start of the game, only small factions of the infected and military are present in the city. However, as the game progresses, the military and the infected begin to expand. Territory in the city is made out of 3 distinct zones. Blue zones are in military control and are relatively clean of the infection. Red zones thrive with the infection, although there still remains a strong military presence. In some areas of the city, a blue zone and a red zone might converge, creating a new and distinct purple zone. In these zones, the military and the infected are in a constant battle for control. How the player decides to act in these zones determine which faction seizes the territory. The game takes place in a medium-sized version of Manhattan with all its famous landmarks, including the Empire State Building, the Chrysler Building, 40 Wall Street 28, Liberty Street, the Condé Nast Building, the MetLife Building, One New York Plaza, and the New York Life Building, among others. The main protagonist Zeus and the maker of the blacklight virus Alex Mercer is voiced by Canadian actor Barry Pepper. Alex's sister Dana Mercer is voiced by Lake Bell and the primary antagonist, Robert Cross, codename The Specialist, is voiced by Jeff Pierce. Phil Lamar voiced Dr. Bradley Ragland, who was helping Zeus when Cross injected it with an anti-blacklight virus. Alex Mercer's ex-girlfriend Karen Parker is voiced by Vanessa Marshall. Alex's boss Dr. Raymond McMullen is voiced by Paul Guilfoyle, who also played Jim Brass in CSI, Crime Scene Investigation. Gordon Clapp voiced General Peter Randall, who wants to contain Zeus. Randall's second-in-command Ian Taggart is voiced by Richard McGonigal. Carrie Walgren voiced Elizabeth Green, also known as the Mother, who was infected with the virus in 1969. Brian Bloom voiced a Blackwatch commander who is yelling at the time when Zeus transforms into its disguise in the base. All additional characters are voiced by Dave Fennoy, Dave Wittenberg, David Andriel, David Lodge, and Diane Shu. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the share and subscribe button.